So, The Last of Us 2, Horizon Forbidden West, Dying Light 2, Payday 3, Far Cry New Dawn, and recently Spider-Man 2 are all games that have something in common. They're all sequels to a very popular and successful game, and that brings a lot of attention and hype with it. Even though in my opinion two of those games are absolute masterpieces, some people will still view them as disappointments. And not because they're bad, but just because the game wasn't what they expected. And this keeps on happening in the gaming industry, that we have sequels that just don't perform like they should. And that's what I want to look at today. So, let's not wait and dive right into the question, why is making a sequel so hard? But before that, if y'all could please subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. We're so close to hitting 400 subscribers and I would love it if we could hit that goal in this video. But let's not keep you guys waiting and get right back into the video. Enjoy. And one of the first reasons why is that they just don't have enough time. Too many games suffer under this reason. Many developers face tight deadlines, definitely when working on a sequel of a very successful and big game. Investors and game publishers want the game to be completed as fast as possible, so that when the new game releases, it can ride on the hype from the last one and generate even more money. But also because they don't want to lose any possible customers, as how longer it takes to publish a game, how bigger the chances are that people will lose interest and therefore not buy the game anymore. Therefore, these people most of the time force their game devs to release games that are not fully polished or completed. The lack of time often also results in numerous issues like many unresolved bugs, storylines are left incompleted or shortened, and the gameplay mechanics are unrefined. Look at Spider-Man 2 for an example. Like I said before, I view this game as an absolute masterpiece, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. It was clear that this game was underdeveloped with a very short story, a bit too many bugs at the start of the game, and not enough new gadgets. It was clear that not enough people were working on the game, as a part of the team went away to start making the new Wolverine game, and another part of the team went away for 2 years to make Spider-Man Miles Morales. I think if they had their full team like they had with their first game, that Spider-Man 2 would have been so much better. But I could also be wrong, as a intense pressure of meeting deadlines can also put a significant amount of stress on the development team. This stress hampers creativity and innovation, as the team is forced to prioritize quick fixes over thoughtful designs. Over time, the repeated strain of rushing projects can lead to burnouts among team members and also causing them to work even slower or outright quit their jobs, further damaging the quality of the game. In essence, the shortage of time not only affects the final product, aka the game, but also the morale and the well-being of the developers. So, to produce a truly great game, it's important that developers get enough time to make sure that they're healthy and that they get a manageable workload that will allow them to focus on quality, creativity, and ensure the game's success. But sometimes it's not always the short amount of time or stress that can cause these problems. Sometimes it's just being out of ideas, and that brings me to my second point. It is sometimes more difficult to go further on a build story than creating a new one. Building upon an existing story presents a lot of challenges, what can often be even more difficult than creating a new one from scratch. Developers must navigate their ideas of a new story in a different way and can't just design anything without any second thought. Any new additions or changes must seamlessly integrate with the established story/lore that already exists, requiring a deeper understanding of the existing story. This can be restrictive, as there is less creative freedom compared to when starting with a blank slate. And adding new writers can also be a challenge, as they now need to be brought up to speed with the existing lore. Additionally, maintaining consistency in any style and character development is crucial, where new story arcs must not only fit logically, but also enhance the overall narrative. All of these things can make the task of extending an existing story even more difficult, and is definitely more demanding than creating a fresh and original story. But the story is not the only challenge that developers face. The creation of a new world map, improving the graphics, and creating new movesets/mechanics. They must introduce all of these new elements that can now excite new players while respecting what made the first game so beloved. Look at making a new world, for instance. Crafting a beautiful and immersive world involves ensuring that every detail aligns with the game's lore, and this process requires balancing creativity and consistency, as new environments must feel fresh yet at the same time familiar to returning players. Developers need to design these landscapes, structures, and ecosystems that not only look stunning, but also enhance the story and gameplay. But that's not the only thing. They need to introduce new movesets and mechanics, what adds another layer of complexity to the development. The developers need to ensure that the new movesets are balanced, fun, and adapt to the gameplay. The challenge lies in creating a fun and engaging experience without overcomplicating things and ensuring that the new mechanics enhance the game without destroying the lore. Let me give you an example. Ghost of Tsushima 2. If the game were to ever come out, we would all like to see a new story that fits the original one, but also a new map that gives us new places to explore while at the same time keeping the traditional Japanese look. But we of course would all want the flower fields to return, as they were so beautiful and iconic to the game and would make us remember the first game even more. And then the weapons. We would all expect new traditional Japanese weapons to be in the game, and not Jin Sake all of a sudden whipping out a 9mm Glock and start to go all Trevor on our ass. Ultimately, while building on an established story can deepen the gaming experience, it requires a lot of attention to detail and a careful balancing between creating and adding a new feel to the game, while still honoring the original work, and a dedication to keep the story fresh and engaging. But now to my final point, and in my eyes the most difficult thing to work on, and that is we, the fans, and our expectations. We as fans often have really high hopes and specific desires for a sequel. We expect the new game to capture the same magic and the same feeling that we got when playing the original game for the first time, and all while expecting them to introduce new and exciting elements. Balancing our expectations isn't easy, definitely not when their creative freedom isn't so high anymore. Developers now must carefully listen to our feedback, but still need to innovate and create some new takes on their own terms while staying true to what made the original game so beloved. It requires a deeper understanding of the original game's strengths and weaknesses, and the ability to expand upon them in a meaningful way. Developers often feel the weight of this pressure, as they know that satisfying us is a crucial part of the sequel's success. The challenge therefore lies in making decisions that honor the original game while also pushing new boundaries to offer something new and compelling. And anything that isn't that can often lead to disappointments and backlash. Look at The Last of Us 2 for an example. In my opinion, this game is an absolute masterpiece, but yet still we as fans view the game as a disappointment. Not because the game is bad, no, absolutely not. The Last of Us 2 just didn't do what The Last of Us Part 1 did. Even though that the second game has better graphics, improved combat system, added new weapons and enemy types, and even created a much more immersive world, yet still the game failed to live up to our expectations, as the story wasn't perfect. Unlike The Last of Us Part 1, the story that made us all fall in love with The Last of Us, it was just perfect, to the redemption arc of Joel and the story around Ellie, and the bond that they created together was just magical, and we as the fans expected The Last of Us 2 would not only match this magic, but also improve upon it. And when we all saw they didn't match it, but made the story even worse, we all hated the game, even though as a standalone game it's pretty good, but as a sequel it failed. It failed to meet our expectations, and therefore is a huge disappointment. But that doesn't mean that our expectations always result in disappointments. No, look at God of War Ragnarok, Baldur's Gate 3, Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3. All games with high expectations that delivered above and beyond. So, as you can see, if developers successfully navigate our expectations, it can result in a game that both delights existing fans and attracts new ones. This is what truly defines the success of a sequel. Fail to meet our expectations, and your game will be seen as a disappointment. Live up to it, and you have created a game that lives up to its legacy and will forever be remembered.